Hello and welcome to episode 45 of No Load Time. My name is always Bless, and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good? No load time to infinity and beyond. We go, Obed. Episode 46 is here, man. How you doing?
46. I knew I was wrong. Crap.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? It's a pretty exciting episode, so it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't matter. It could be titleless, and people still gotta listen to it.
Yep. So that's why Joel's here. He needs to correct my terrible math. Sometimes.
Is that why you brought me on?
yeah, to keep me in check with that awful math, and me not being able to read that. I'm actually looking at the episode list here, so yeah. Yeah. But Joel, how you doing, man? I know that we're going to jump into some Infinity War stuff here in a couple of minutes, and that, guys, it's probably going to be most of the show tonight. We're going to dedicate this episode to Infinity War because I believe is it's probably the biggest cinematic happening since probably Phantom Menace. Like that.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yep.
Yeah, since probably when Star Wars came back. So we want to give you guys our impressions, and just be warned that we are going to talk spoilers. We're going to go in knees deep into all that happened, and if you haven't seen the movie, just be warned. But we're just gonna go ahead and talk about a couple things real quick, Joel, that came out. And then we're gonna jump in, and then we're gonna talk about a couple of things, make an announcement, and then we're gonna jump into the Infinity War stuff. So Joel, take it away, man.
Yeah, man. You gotta stick with us for the whole episode because it's gonna be a lot of stuff here. Yeah, man. So I mean, some of the first stuff I know that we want to talk about here is that this came out. We had heard some rumors about this. There was. The news is officially that DC is launching their own streaming service, the DC online streaming service, and they announced a couple different shows that they're going to be having on their exclusive service. One of them, Swamp Thing. Another one, which was a surprise, didn't really see that one coming. Another one was Teen Titans Go, which we've been on the record of talking about that one, and we talked about how certain characters appeared and how our feelings were. And then the other one was Young Justice, which that's awesome that's coming back. I'm a huge fan of Young Justice, so I'm happy to see that they brought that one back. And also the one that was surprising to me as well. Yes, Swamp Thing was interesting, but I thought the Harley Quinn animated series is also announced, and I was like, I didn't see that coming. I know there's a lot of Harley Quinn fans, so I could see why, it's a good way to pull people in, right, to their service. But yeah, Obed, interesting move from DC. I think it's a smart move just because if you know how they've done historically from a film standpoint, it's usually their animated stuff that does a lot better than their live action. Obviously, yeah, Teen Titans Go is gonna be live action, but
is this Teen Titans, because there's a Teen Titans Go show on Cartoon Network right now that's more of a really kid-friendly, actually kind of funny and well-written show that's on Cartoon Network right now. So is this the same show? Because that other show, Titans, is that gonna be on network, or is that gonna be on this service as well?
Thank you for saying that. Correction, it's just called Titans. Just called Titans. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I keep saying Teen Titans Go. And it's probably because I'm ready to go to bed. It's Titans. It's Titans. that is the show. So yeah, I think Titans goes another whole separate show, but Titans. They had some cool logo cards that were revealed too. So they didn't just announce these shows, but they gave some cool little logos. And regardless of how I feel about this Titan show, like, it's a cool logo. The Harley Quinn logo is really cool. Swamp Thing logo is really cool. Young Justice looks pretty dope. And I think it's smart just because people like us who are intrigued by this, like, there's no other way to watch it than to have subscription. So it forces you to have to get their subscription to see this. There's no other way to see this unless you're pirating content, and we don't encourage that on No Load Time. But
keep it legit, guys.
But yeah, I mean, so it's a smart move from them. I'm curious what the pricing is going to be on this, Obed. You know, like that's a
Probably
big
not
thing.
much. I
Yeah.
mean, they should not go more than $6. I'm really.
I was thinking the same thing as Comic Con HQ, right? That was a derivative from San Diego Comic Con when they tried to do their own streaming service. And I had Comic Con HQ, a subscription to that, which before they did away with it. But like they did the same thing. It was like $5 a month.
Okay.
So I could see that being a great price point, $5-6.
Yeah, because I got Crunchyroll, and it's so cheap that I don't even pay attention to it, and I think it's like $5.99 or something like that. It's really cheap.
That's smart.
Yeah. But interesting. We'll see where this goes. I know that we'll probably talk DC a little bit more later on the show. Also, a video I sent you was pretty good, right?
Oh, that was pretty wild, dude. I was
Yeah,
cracking up.
yeah. It goes all goes back to fanboys and all that and nerds.
It does.
But the only piece of news, Joel, that I have is that God of War is the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever. Sold 3.1 million units in just 3 days. It's about 2 weeks since the game came out, so I'm assuming that this is probably close to 4 million right now. So, man, great job for to props to the guys over at Santa Monica Studios for going ahead and creating this project, because it is phenomenal. Reception has been great, and you know, fans are liking it, and not fans are liking it. People are converting over and buying PS4s. I heard that a lot of places are sold out on PS4 Pros, Joe, because people are going after them right now. So.
No, absolutely. This is the game that will convert fans. This is one of those that, like, it's the summer, and they know it's smart, the timing of when this game came out. Just because we've talked about the competition, right? And they haven't had anything that's major and exclusive come out during this timeline. So to have this game come out the time that it is, like, well, you don't have anything to play. Well, guess what? God of War's out. All your friends are playing it. You got to play it, right? But being a PS4 exclusive is really a strong suit for PlayStation. But good for the guys at Santa Monica Studios putting this out there. I do find it interesting, just like you said, Obed. This is a game that's pulling in people who knew about God of War, but also people who never played any of the other ones or just didn't like the other ones. They don't care just because of how this game has been done. And it's not even, how would you know it unless you had great marketing? And that's the point with this game, right? There's been such great marketing behind this. You know, whether it was the NBA game with the Golden State Warriors, where they had a live on-screen projection event, right?
It's really cool.
That was amazing. Yeah. I'd recommend people looking that up on YouTube. There's a lot of different commercials that you probably have seen on TV with it. It just doesn't look like your dad's God of War, right? It's changed, and happy to see the success and that it was received well. And I loved your review last episode. So if you guys haven't listened to the thoughts on it, please listen to last episode as well.
And I brought it up in the last episode that I just played God of War, the first one. Wasn't my cup of tea. I never played any of the other God of Wars, and I got this one, and it's fantastic. Right. So yeah, I did play it a lot over the weekend, and it's really freaking good, man. It just you just want to keep going, right? It's one of those things that you just want to keep going, keep exploring, and keep doing your missions. And it's an onion story, because you just keep peeling off things, and things happen, and then you get story exposure, and then you get story exposure through conversations with Kratos and Atreus, and you find the dwarves that are basically the blacksmiths during the game, and they give you bits and pieces of story. But it's really good. I just got out of an area that was just to think that it was done on a standard PS4, and just watching it on a standard PS4, it was just stunning. How great that game looks. It really looks like a next level game. And so, like, it's gonna be really hard for a lot of games now, because they're gonna be judged by God of War. It's like when Zelda came out, and a lot of open world games got got judged by Breath of the Wild. It's like, no, this is now the standard on open world games. So it kind of
Choice
like
of
that.
word. That's the standard.
Yeah. Like this game is the graphic standard, and game design and all that, and art design. It's like I keep going back to that. I'm a sucker for art design, and I really appreciate games with really good art design. So yeah, prop to these guys. They really deserve it. 5 years working on this project. We'll see what they give us next, and I can't wait. The future is definitely bright for single player experiences. So don't pay attention to whatever nonsense EA is trying to sell you.
Shade, Savage Obid's back.
Just for that one bit. And Joel, the only other thing that I have before we jump in, we do have some special shows planned for E3. So if you guys are listening, we're going to have 3 special shows for E3. We're on June 7th, we are going to have our E3 predictions episode. So if you want to know what we think it's going to be at the shows, we're going to do the big 3, and then we may do like a miscellaneous, Ubisoft, Bethesda thing, what we think is going to show up on those conferences. On June 11th, which is a Monday, we are going to be coming to you live at 8 p.m. Eastern time on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check us out and you want to check out our live reactions to the Sony conference, tune into our YouTube channel, 8 p.m. on Monday. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties. Worst case scenario, it's just going to be a standard video and you
Facebook Live or something.
Yeah, exactly. But for the first time in the show, we are going to be both on the same room.
Same set, same room.
Same set, same room. It's going to be right here in my game room. So yeah, definitely if you guys want to check it out with live impressions on the Sony conference, and we will take about a half hour and talk about what Microsoft and the other companies showed the previous day. And then we're going to have a recap show on the 14th if you guys missed anything. And then we will add Nintendo and most likely Square Enix, which is, I think, the other Tuesday conference. Yes. So you guys definitely stay tuned. We're going to put in, some effort in making this episodes for you guys, and we definitely hope that you guys enjoy it. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll remind you guys on social media, so don't forget to follow us. And now, Joe, last time for a spoiler alert warning, and we are going to jump into Avengers Infinity War. Joe, take it away, man.
Thank you for giving me the honors. Obed, you know this movie we've been waiting 10 years for. And if you guys saw the video that I put out on our social media, I did a little quick like pre-feelings and then like a post, reaction kind of thing without spoiling anything. And it's funny because I started it, just as we've as most fans are, real excited, like super hyped, super pumped. And then after you leave the movie, you have such a weird feeling because of everything that happens. Like I was one of the few people who actually started clapping when the movie was over, and there's many people who left very upset. And I was just like, I'm smiling, like I love this. This is wonderful. And people are like, oh my God, like what did you do? What happened? Like, and I think it just depended on your expectations. But honestly, this is one of those movies that I think Marvel is smart just because they're not trying to prove something to the haters, but they gave us a different movie where a lot of people have knocked Marvel for the kind of tone and the kind of flavor and the kind of things that they've done with villains, with storytelling, with risk, with all that stuff. And straight off from the beginning of the movie, hey, look, we gave the spoiler. We're going into it, guys.
Yep. So quite a few people eat it in this movie. Yeah. So Joe, let's talk about the four characters that eat it for realsies. And just starting off with Heimdall, like he gets it right
First.
there. He's
Yep.
the first one to go. He's trying to help the Hulk escape the ship and send him to Earth so he can basically give a warning message of what's happening. So he uses the last of his dark energy to summon the Bifrost and send Hulk to Earth. So Thanos sees it. And it's like, I shouldn't have done that, and gets stabbed. So Heimdall's gone right off the bat. And then the second one, Joel, which at first I was like, maybe, maybe not. But then I feel like, yeah, like he really ate it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's Loki.
Yep. And
So
it makes sense. I mean, the guy's been in a lot of these movies, so
yeah. So that's the first major character to go. He's a fan favorite. So yeah, go ahead, man.
no, I was gonna say the thing about also to me that makes me know that for sure this dude ate the dust is when he dies, when he's killed, right, and snaps his neck. Thanos literally says, "No more resurrections."
Yeah.
And I think that was indicative of the tone of the movie, but also what just happened with this character.
Yeah. So Thanos was gonna let Loki live, from what I understood. Loki gave Thanos the Tesseract, and in the Tesseract was the Space Stone. And um, Loki seemed like he had a plan, which he attempted to stab Thanos in the throat, and that failed, and hence he ate it.
It was intense, dude. But I mean, the movie started off already with Thanos having one Infinity Stone. So
Yeah.
they confirmed that later on when Thor is talking that he had already gone to Xandar, which you see in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the Power Stone, right?
Yep.
That he already went there and wiped them out and took that stone.
Yep.
So they jumped right into it that he's already got two stones now, with the Tesseract right being the Space Stone. So the movie, pretty much the way it goes is it's Thanos trying to collect the stones. I wasn't sure if he was going to just have all these stones and the rest was going to be war, but it's really just the whole time him just getting these stones.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty intense. Like anytime that he showed up, it was so. Joel, I'm gonna make a really big comparison. And again, I am a dude that has taken my nostalgia glasses off a long time ago. But without a doubt, Thanos is this generation's Darth Vader.
Oh, absolutely.
Like every time he shows up, things are happening. He definitely is up there with Darth Vader. Like to kids now, like to what Darth Vader is to me, to kids now, Thanos is probably in the same pedestal as Darth Vader, because it was so good, and Josh Brolin was so good, Joel. And
Oh my God.
Thanos looked really good too. Like the CG was spot on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say Thanos is one of those villains that he's probably top three. He could be, as an argument, he could be the best, but I'd say he's top three of best superhero comic book movie villains. I'd say might actually be the best. That's debatable depending on who you talk to, right? Because look, all these other villains, they're trying to cause chaos, or they're trying to take over the government, or they're trying to, instill a certain thing. This is trying to conquer the universe. Like the scale is so massive.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily trying to conquer it. He's trying to bring balance to it.
Yes.
And he has this twisted version of justice that he wants to impart into the entire universe. And that makes, I think, whenever a villain sees it's himself as not as a bad person, but as someone that's trying to bring justice, it just makes them so good. And plus, his story was really well explored throughout the entire movie. Like, I think he has the most screen time of anyone in the movie.
Oh,
Because
the movie could be called just Thanos if they wanted.
Yeah, seriously, it was like Thanos Infinity War. Because it's his movie. Like, he is the protagonist of this movie. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And going back to being the villain, That's why, like Joe, I mentioned that I was watching Dragon Ball Super. That's why and I never mentioned it in the podcast, but I finished the series a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. But Zamasu was such a great villain, and it was because it was exactly the same thing as Thanos. It was like, no, humans are terrible. I need to get rid of them, and the universe will be a better place. And it's the same thing with Thanos. It's like, you guys are exhausting your planet's resources, causing all this crap. So I have to come in and fix this crap for you guys, so future generations can still have a chance.
Yeah, he believes in that. What do they call it? The bubble effect or whatever. Like that's an actual real thought process that some people have, where it's like, there's a certain tipping point because of the amount of existence and things, whatever. Where like you're gonna have to have this type of extinguishing of people just for there to be balance in the world, and it's a crazy, thought process. But the way he articulates it, the way he speaks about what he's thinking, like you said, Obed, he does not believe he's the villain. He believes he's the only one that has the reality to understand that this job needs to be done. He looks at himself almost like a savior. Like he's actually saving people by like the lives of few versus many. As crazy as that is, even though you're looking at, like Doctor Strange says it, you're wiping trillions off the face of the earth. And like he literally doesn't say anything wrong with that, because he's like, hey, this has to be done. I'm the only one who's willing to do it. So it makes him more of a awesome villain, because he's not just sneaky trying to do something. He's like, no, I this job needs to be done. Ultron, they tried to do that way, but this was perfected way beyond that.
Yeah. Ultron was cool too. Like, he plugged into the internet. He spent a minute on the internet. I was like, oh, yep, this guy needs to go.
Which many of us have felt that way.
Yeah. So that was cool too. I mean, he was so well explored, and it was so well done, man. It was fantastic. So the third character that ate it, Joe, for realsies, is Gamora, which unexpectedly we got the only big cameo in the movie from Skeletor. I mean, it was Red Skull, but totally not Hugo Weaving and totally not makeup. It was a CG Red Skull, not Hugo Weaving, and he explained Thanos what he needs to do to obtain the Soul Stone, and he has to basically kill what he loves the most. Gamora thinks it's like, oh, you're screwed, you didn't win. Go ahead, man.
No, you're right on. I just want to correct you, because I know you're saying that this is a character that ate it, and I'm not of the same vein of that, Obed. I actually do not believe that this character is dead, because he doesn't say. He says a life for a life or a soul for a soul. I believe that Thanos has captured her soul. I genuinely believe that. I'm not saying that she can't be dead. I think there's a 50-50 chance, but I'm not sold on the fact that she's actually dead, just because the way it cuts. I've watched this movie 3 times now.
Yeah, you did.
The way this movie cuts, dude, like he throws her down, she's going, and like it just cuts back, and he's crying, and she's laying there on the ground. You get the insinuation, hey, she hit the ground so hard she died, but
there was blood though. There was some like green splatter in there.
Yeah, I'm just of the vein that I believe he may have, and especially, we've also the movie, right at the end of the movie, he sees little Gamora. I believe that he still has her soul captured, and that was it's the soul of the child of Gamora, right?
Yeah,
that's how he still envisions her. So that's just some speculation on my part. Am I saying that she's for sure alive? No, but I'm not sold on the fact that she genuinely ate it.
Okay. The one that got it for sure though was the one that had the Mind Stone, and that was Vision, and that was crazy because he died twice,
and he made it through he died at the end of the movie. I thought he was gonna be like the first one to go. I was like, oh, he's gonna die within the first 20 minutes. Like he makes it to the very end.
And I really liked how Vision's OP. Right, and they had to bring him down a notch. So I like how And I want to get the name right, because I know that they're the Black Order. Corvus Glaive. He
Yes,
stabs, like he sneak stabs Vision, and that causes Vision to start malfunctioning and not be able to phase, and so it brings his powers down, and so that's their way of having Vision. Is like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring him down a notch, so things can happen in the movie. So that was well done. But yeah, man, he Scarlet Witch is able to destroy the Mind Stone, but then Thanos reverses time with the Time Stone, and and so so he actually grabs Vision, he just yanks it out. One and yeah, and then pretty much the movie ends like that's pretty much when the movie ends. So um one thing of note, Joe, when in I can't remember her name, T'Challa's sister,
Shuri.
Shuri. So she when she's working on trying to get the Mind Stone out of a Vision, so they can destroy it separately but still preserve Vision. I don't know if you noticed that in one of the scenes, that when she's working towards before actually Vision gets attacked in the chamber, um, she's able to back up uh, the Vision's data
I
basically.
did see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then when Vision dies, his he loses his color, so he goes to the black and white Vision that I knew growing up from the comics. Because when I was into Marvel comics back when I was a young whippersnapper, that's the Vision I knew. It was the black and white Vision.
Yeah.
I didn't know the yellow and green Vision. So that was the Vision I knew. I was like, oh yeah, so they maybe find a way to bring back Vision, but he doesn't have the stone, so he's going to be the black and white Vision. So so that was pretty neat. So I don't know I don't know where that's going, but it was at least a pretty neat allusion to that.
I know, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, like it was so useless that they had like they were forcing this arc with Shuri being in the movie because like she doesn't do anything because they end up just taking the stone anyways." And I'm like, "No, you don't get it. Like this is gonna factor in because if you watch again, I've watched it 3 times. I see it.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, she's backed this thing up. She's already working on what just in case. Like, hey, I've got this thing here. So yeah, he'll be back, and it'll be because of that one small scene that
yeah,
you understand. Hey, this is why he's back.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I just wanted to talk about those four first because those are the ones that actually get it. We can go into the rest. But Joel, just tell us a few things that you like, man.
Okay, yeah. So I think one of the main things that I really, really stood out to me was when you're looking at the scene right away with Iron Man, where he's with Pepper, right? Like the way that they have his relationship with Pepper and the way that he's called directly into this battle, I think sets the tone for what kind of movie it was going to be. Simply because no one's expecting Thanos. Like this isn't the kind of thing where like they're like, oh, this guy's coming. But Doctor Strange, he's buying he wants trying to buy, Wong, some food or whatever, and Hulk just comes crashing in, and Iron Man's, Stark is running with Pepper, and he's talking about how he wants to have a child, and he thinks that they could have a child or whatever. And like they're in the middle of life, basically, these people.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, it's like the fate of the universe is at stake. And he doesn't think that it's that. He's like, who are you? What is this joke? What's going on? Because if it's very accurate to the comics, Iron Man does not believe in magic. He believes in science, right? So he thinks that like magic is just science not understood. That's a very common thing for Stark. So he's just like, this strange dude, like, what are you doing here? And then out of nowhere, you have Bruce Banner come in. He's like, no, this is really serious, dude. Like, Tony, you gotta come with us. I thought that was a really great way to set it up. And I had heard a leak of that scene before. I think that was something they may have shown actually at Comic-Con. And a little fun note there that Morgan, the name he references, Morgan is an actual character that is supposed to be like a uncle or distant relative of Stark. So he does say like, hey, naming after the old man Morgan or whatever, right? But Morgan was the guy that actually tries to take over Stark Industries and tries to run Stark out of the company and this whole crazy thing. I just think it's interesting still that, hey, there's probably nothing to do with that, but almost like saying that character exists. The second thing, I really loved the way that Scarlet Witch was used in this movie. I love that they did away with her accent. And I love the way that
she still has it, but it's not as over the top as
right. Yeah, and it's like it wasn't needed. And I love her comfort, the way she's trying to protect Vision, the way her character, like the way she really doesn't want to have this fight, but she's super powerful, and you get to see a lot more of her power. Yeah. And that kind of is the theme with a lot of the characters in this movie. There's a lot of characters that are super overpowered, dude. Like Doctor Strange has way more power in this movie than he had in the last movie, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorcerer Supreme. Thor is like ridiculously. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, I have my thoughts about that.
And then same thing with her, dude. Like and I think she's even more powerful than what we saw in the movie. But they give us a lot more of that raw power that we haven't seen before. So that was another thing I think that really stood out to me. And then the third thing, Obed. It comes back to Thanos. Dude, I lost my mind in the movie theater when Thanos pulls out the Infinity Gauntlet and he grabs the moon and throws it. And oh my Lord, dude. Yeah. I had heard that scene existed, but when I saw it, I literally nearly jumped out of my seat, dude, with so much nerd excitement.
And it's not a true like boom toss. He crushes it and just brings down all the debris. Yeah, and that was pretty sick.
It was pretty wild, dude.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
I think that I liked the little more technical things here and there. I really like how the movie is really well balanced between humor, because it is a very humorous movie. It has some really good jokes. It has some really good banter between characters. And it's also a very dark and dire movie at the same time. So it manages to do both in such a fantastic way that, man, people can learn how to make movies out of this one, because it's so well balanced and so good that other movies should follow. Man, it's really hard for me to just pick a few things that I really like, because it's Spider-Man was great. Spider-Man was great. The Iron Spider suit was great, and it had the spider legs. So spoiler alert, of course. I mean, come on, but yeah, I really like that. His suit was good, and he was good in the movie. I was not a huge fan of that nano suit, the Iron Man nano suit. I think it was like too over the top and too. I think it was just too over the top, right? It was too crazy. It was too big of a departure from the suits that we saw in Civil War, and then or Homecoming. And then we see this crazy nano thing, which is cool because eventually he does have that in the comics. But it was also super overpowered. That suit was crazy overpowered.
Well, I mean, like I totally hear where you're coming from. I mean, they could have gone even further, man, because they could have gone like with his Extremis suit, right? Like where like it literally comes out of his skin. Right, like and I thought they were going to go that direction at one point after an Iron Man 3, where he's injecting himself, right, with these different things to call
the sensors.
Yeah, I thought it might be also that he's injecting himself something where it's like, hey, this is a prototype suit that's going to come out of my skin, like legitimately. But yeah, I mean, like it is super super powerful, but at the same time, like they've built up to this point where like true. Stark is this brilliant. Like if they would have had that even in the second or third movie, I would have been like, that's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, they gave him a lot of power, and it's cool that he drew blood from Thanos. I love that.
Yeah. I really like Strange a lot more in this movie than in his own movie too. Yeah. So because I'm that to me, Doctor Strange is like towards the bottom of the MCU movies, but I think he was a lot better on this one. He had more uh, important things to do. I think, although high, stakes were definitely high in Doctor Strange, but I think because of the pace of the movie, it just made it. To me, he seemed
I didn't have
he
a
seemed a
problem
better
with his
character.
character in the movie. I just think that some of the choices made in the movie was a little could
Yeah,
have been different. But I think
yeah,
his character was one of the strongest points of that
yeah,
movie. So
yeah.
I mean, now you put him in a movie that's just written amazingly, has an amazing story, same character, same person, but just now given the real platform to show off in an
Mm.
amazing way. And that's kind of what we felt with the first Avengers movie too, right? Like certain characters that will, Black Widow and whatnot didn't have that much, but then you watch the first Avengers film and then certain characters stand out. But that's another point that I wanted to bring out to you, Obed, is Hawkeye and Scott Lang, Ant-Man, are not in this movie, man.
Yeah, they're on house arrest. Basically, that's what they said.
Right.
Which makes sense. They have families. Hawkeye has a family, and it's all really hard. We don't know if they survived at the end of the movie, but also makes me wonder when in time does Ant-Man fall? It definitely have to be before this because there's no panic going on or nothing too crazy. At least in the trailer that we just saw a couple of days ago, right? It seems that everything's in order, at least for the moment. So the only thing that I didn't like about the movie, and maybe you that you've seen it a couple of times you may have been able to get details about this, but what happened to Valkyrie and the other guys from Ragnarok that were in the ship, but they were not in the body. They're alive, right?
Yes, they
They
are. They confirmed. They confirmed that. So remember when Thor is talking to the Guardians and he's saying like, "Look, Thanos wiped out." He says half of the Asgardian race.
Yeah.
Because I thought when that happened, like, oh snap, he literally just killed every Asgardian on the ship except for Thor. Thor's the last of Asgard. That's kind of weird. But he actually says to the Guardians he wiped out half. The reason he says that is the directors confirmed later on. Valkyrie is still alive. And they said that she took in some of the escape pods like half of the Asgardians with her.
Yeah.
So wherever they went, we don't know, but she took them with her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm sure, but there's a great chance she shows up in the next movie or in a future Thor movie. But yeah, she's alive. They did not confirm that. What's his name? The Cronin character.
The rock guy. Hey guys.
They didn't confirm that he's alive. They refused to confirm that. So he might have died protecting them, or he might be alive. We'll see. But Valkyrie for sure is alive with half of the Asgardians.
Yeah, but it just wasn't clear. That's something that you would assume when you watch the movie, right? But but at the end, when Thanos kills Loki, he blows up the ship along with Thor. Like he basically leaves Thor as dead, basically.
Yes.
And he just pieces out and goes to do his whatever Thanos does, right?
Get them stones.
Yeah, get them stones. So, Jill, since we're talking about Thor, you want to talk about Thor?
Let's do it. That's a whole sequence there.
Okay. So, so we all know that he did get a significant power boost on Ragnarok, where he was able to channel his, thunder power without a weapon. But he was pretty strong at the end of Ragnarok, but he got bullied, man. He got bullied at the beginning of the movie. So, explain that.
Yeah, so it's like you never even see like if he tried to fight Thanos. You get the guess that he did, but Thanos basically just dragging Thor around. So you're like, did he even try to stop this guy? Like using all that, and then he uses the power later on. I don't know.
Yeah, and he did, because he says like when he's talking to Rocket, he's saying, "Oh, Thanos had never fought me," and Rocket's like, "He did, and you lost."
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
And I was like, "Well, he hasn't faced me twice." Yeah. so that was pretty good. But then they go into basically the forge where all the the mystic weapons are forged, and they find a giant Peter Dinklage, and which
Which was interesting.
I was not expecting it, and I was like, is this Peter Dinklage? Holy crap!
I knew he was in the movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was in the movie, so it was interesting to see him as a giant dwarf. It was weird. It was really freaky, but at the same time, kind of entertaining. I think Peter Dinklage is not. I think he's overrated as an actor. He's very dry. His delivery is very, very dry. But the few lines here and there that he had were pretty good. So they go to the forge, and after Thor almost dying because the mechanism doesn't work, and they need the power of the star to melt the super special metal of the gods or whatever, and create the Stormbreaker. That's when we all knew from the leaked toys that we had seen that Groot actually made the handle for the axe, and he indeed does.
Scene.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's one of the best scenes in the movie. I really like that scene where Groot is like, wait, he's really dying. I kind of like this guy, but Space Invaders is also really cool. And he's playing Space Invaders all the time in the movie. And he goes and he makes the handle, and he gets hurt because it's it's really hot from the molten metal and all that. So that was pretty good. That was a really good scene. Man, and then Thor shows up in Wakanda when they're doing the battle. Oh, by the way, this weapon is so powerful that you can summon the Bifrost and go anywhere in the universe.
Which is cool because Stormbreaker is that kind of weapon. It's the same weapon that Beta Ray Bill uses. So instead of giving it to Beta Ray Bill, they gave it to Thor. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So Thor shows up in Wakanda, Joel, and he starts tearing it up, man. Huh?
You said Wakanda. Wakanda forever.
Did I say Wakanda? No, I didn't say I said Wakanda. So man, he shows up and he just starts demolishing everyone, man. So
yeah. I don't know about you, but when I saw, I don't know how much of a crowd, but when I saw it all 3 times, people start cheering when Thor shows up with his Stormbreaker, because he looked so awesome in that suit, and it's all powerful and just.
And I like how they paid homage to basically it's Ultimate Thor, basically. Yes. And how his basically the badges on his suit glow with lightning power, and the Stormbreaker is really awesome, which reminds me a lot of the Leviathan axe from God of War. So it's like basically the same weapon. The two God of War's defense, God of War, we've seen the axe for about 2 years now. So, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Just Thor comes in, man, and he just starts ripping it. So that was awesome. But yeah, man, I mean, anything else that you want to talk about? I do want to talk about that, of course, when Thanos finally gets all the stones and he snaps his fingers, just as in the comic book, and there's white light, just as in the comic. So that was great.
He alludes to that throughout the movie. Like he says, like, I can literally just snap my finger and all of this ceases to exist. I consider it mercy. And it's interesting because when he snaps his finger, and I looked for each time after watching it, the first time, the 2 times I watched after. So when he snaps his finger, right, and after they show him where he sees Gamora in this unknown place, right? All this reality or something in his mind or whatever, right? That's why I think it's a soul stone. He looks at his hand, he has no glove, the gauntlet's not on. He's talking to her, and then when it flashes back, obviously he has the glove on. The glove is it's fried. It's fried, it's messed up. And then at the end of the movie, when he's finally sitting down,
it still works clearly because he was able to summon a portal with the space stone.
Yes, but I don't think it's gonna hold up. And so when he sits down, when finally at the end of the movie, there, just exactly like in the comics, all he wanted to was to become a farmer and to just sit back and just see the sunset, and just farm, because he's like, I've done my job. Everything I wanted is done. So I have the belief that the Avengers are going to want to get that, obviously get that gauntlet. They're going to want to get the stones back, right, to fix things. And we'll get into the predictions. But with that being the case, he's going to need another gauntlet, I think. I'm not going to say for sure, but I think so. Now, what's interesting is when you first see in the whole arc that they have of the Forge, right, with Thor and the Guardians, the first thing that they see is a gauntlet that's on the ground. And you think, oh my goodness, Thanos is here because the gauntlet's here or something. But that was just a prototype gauntlet that of this dude that was actually making a ridiculous character, right? That he was making for Thanos because he was forced to make it. So I do think that may come back into play. So they need another gauntlet. They may go back to that same location. Maybe that dude dies. Maybe they try to fight to survive, whatever. But there is an extra gauntlet there or some type of prototype of it. So I think that's an interesting to be noteworthy of what's going on there because, yeah, it works able to escape, but things fried, man.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be able to channel the same power it did in the movie. But yeah, he does that, and then we see half of the universe basically disappear, which I saw some people say, oh, was it just half of the Earth? No, it's half of the entire universe that vanishes. So just not to go through all the kill list, but anyone that is not on the first Avenger movie,
Yep.
with the exception of Rocket and Nebula, are gone.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So all the Guardians, like I said, with the exception of Rocket and Nebula, Bucky, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. Man, do you want to talk about Spider-Man? Because you're the Spider-Man guy. Go ahead.
I am the Spider-Man guy. Yeah, I mean he's the one of the last ones to go. When he snaps his finger, right, they're all kind of like disappearing. So they see each of them disappearing, and as he's going out, like he's basically telling like Mr. Stark, I don't feel good. I don't want to go, and he's going out. I mean, I like some people are like, oh wow, they're gonna do the Miles Morales thing in this movie. Like, no, they've already confirmed they're filming the next movie. Obviously, These guys are coming back. Like, this is no surprise to us who are familiar with the background, not just the comics, but even what they're doing in production standpoint. But I really thought the way that they used Spider-Man was just brilliant, dude, because he's still like almost looking at Tony Stark like his father.
The father figure,
and Stark is still treating him almost like he's the son that he never had, and the father that he never had in his own life, he's trying to be. So he's learning that same father. So, like I love the way they use Spider-Man with Ebony Maw has captured Doctor Strange, and the way he's like, hey, look, I know you told me I'm supposed to be here, but I'm going to be here. And he's like, how am I supposed to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man if I have no neighborhood to protect? And I thought that was an amazing line.
It was a really good line.
I literally sat there and went, wow. Just because you really think about it, you're like, yeah, like there is no sitting out in this. There's no sitting back. And that's the kind of character Spider-Man is in this. He doesn't care. He's a kid, but he's got a lot of heart. And I love this Aliens reference. He uses always references or whatever. He's like, you ever seen that old movie Aliens or whatever, right? And
it's actually the wrong movie. It's on Alien is where they actually open the hatch and the alien goes out. But
right. No, it's I love it, man. I love how they did it. So man, Spider-Man is great. Yeah, he disappears, but that's why this movie, like with all the characters that go, and you'll listen to the rest of them, like they're gonna have to bring them back. So, but with
because they're not gonna kill Black Panther. I mean, they almost made $1 billion with Black Panther.
They did make $1 billion.
So yeah, worldwide right now it's at $1 billion with Black Panther. So, they're not gonna. Come on, guys. But
smart for that.
But the other thing, Joe, that was alluded on Guardians Volume 2 is that there was going to be a problem with Star-Lord, and there was a problem with Star-Lord. What do you have to say about that one, man?
He is now, it's like on a scale of hated by fans, it's like on a scale of Jar Jar Binks to Star-Lord, this dude is hated at this movie. And each time I had different people sitting around me, and people were like, so angry at this dude because they had the gauntlet. They almost had it off, and Stark saying, it's like, we got it, man, chill out. Like, but once he finds out Gamora just been killed and Thanos is mourning it, he's like, my Gamora. Like, Star-Lord just whacks him up, and he's the reason why they can't suppress Thanos and get the glove off. So yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah. Well, they actually alluded at Peter not being able to control his emotions in Guardians 2 when Ego tells him, I was like, oh, yeah, unfortunately, I had to give your mother brain cancer because I needed to do this thing. And in like half a second, what does Star-Lord do? Just brings out his guns and just, yeah. So we knew that there's an issue with Star-Lord. So as soon as we knew that, it was like, oh, he's going to find out that Gamorrea's dead and he's going to freak out. And that's exactly what happened. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, that cost him, you know, the universe almost. But yeah, man, I can be here and talk about this movie all freaking night, man.
Another thing I wanted to mention is Doctor Strange mentions, you know, that how he's seen all of these 14 million different scenarios and only one time that they win. Obviously, that's going to be because I want to talk to you really quickly now about predicting the future, right? Yeah. Like what Avengers 4, what we think could be the solution, and then what the title could be. So I think Avengers 4 is that simply Doctor Strange, he knew what that one thing was, and he says to Stark, we're in the end game now. Stark is clearly a part of the future because Stark's had visions of the future. He's Thanos has been in his head ever since the first Avengers battle in New York 6 years ago.
And Thanos calls him by name. It's like, oh, I know who you are, Stark. We're cursed by intelligence, by wisdom,
Right. So they both have seen each other. They are not both seen each other, but they both have seen some stuff. So there's something there more deeper to that point. I can't wait to see more of what's unlocked there. And obviously, Strange knew the only way for that future to come alive of where they win, Stark has to be there. So my prediction, one of many predictions, because I've got so many different we could be here forever talking about, but one of my predictions is simply that they're going to have to get the stones back, but to get one of the stones back, they're going to have to do another sacrifice, and I believe that's going to be Captain America. Captain America from this movie went from dying, like from down here where I thought Iron Man was going to die, to now in the next movie, he's dead. Like this dude he's not making it out of the next movie. I feel bad to say it. I don't like saying it, but I don't think he's going to make it. I think Bucky's going to pick up the mantle, and I think Captain America is going to be the soul to sacrifice for that extra stone to come back. So, that's just one of my major predictions. I think it's going to be a major factor also in releasing Gamora, maybe some more knowledge, and even going into potentially Adam Warlock. Yes, Captain Marvel is teased at the end credits, but I don't think Captain Marvel is going to be the one to fix it. I think it's going to be a culmination of things.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few things definitely. They definitely need the gauntlet, and in the comics, Nebula grabs the gauntlet and she undoes basically everything that Thanos has done up until before he picks up the first stone, right? So maybe because Nebula's still there and she freaking hates Thanos still, so it's quite possible that she's definitely going to play a much larger role on the next movie, and what's also to bring it up, that scene with Nebula when she's being dissected, that's pretty freaking brutal, man.
But believe it or not, dude, it was even more intense in the comics when that happened.
Yeah, because she got sucked out of everything. She's like a skeleton, almost like a zombie like
thing. Yeah, she looks terrible. So this one, at least she retracts herself back to looking normal. But yeah, that was pretty gruesome. That was one of those things that could mess kids up. So
yeah, because Nebula, and her design is very, very different from the comics in the movies. So
it is.
They have to somehow be able to get the gauntlet back. Either they find a way to trick Thanos into giving up the gauntlet, or another big fight. Who knows where? Because I don't see another big army battle on the next one.
Me either.
But at the same time, I don't want it to be a lot of planning, one fight, and then it's done. You'd have to keep the consistency that this movie had, where this movie had action sequence, exposure, action sequence, exposure, action sequence, exposure. That was the entire 2.5 hours. It was awesome because it was like the entire movie. It was edge of your seat.
War movie.
Yeah, it was edge of your seat the entire movie. It was great. So um they're probably gonna be very very close to the ending from the comics, from the series. Um, Name wise, it has to do. It's probably gonna have to do something with universe, like Avengers, universe something or Universal something. That's my theory
I
on that
know.
name.
I know it could even be like Avengers Fallen Heroes or some kind of crazy like bringing back like some type of thing where it's going to allude to
Universe
these guys.
reborn or something like
Right,
that.
a reset or restart of
Yeah,
some kind. I think
yeah,
Avengers 4 is going to be the restart of whatever they're going to go into for the next 10 years from there.
yeah, yeah.
Because Kevin Feige already said that he just had some meetings about the year 2025. Because last we heard from him, they had movies planned to 2024. He's like, okay, already did our next phase in 2025. I'm like, we're not even in 2020, dude.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot more planned there. It's pretty exciting.
And from the Fox delays and hints that we've been getting with Deadpool 2,
Yes.
it seems like there's going to be some sort of absorption. Like I think Deadpool's going to be brought over. Um, I think Deadpool 2 is going to do so much money, Joel, that I think it's going to be fantastic. But at the same time, with that with Dark Phoenix being delayed, I think that something at the end of Avengers 4 is going to happen. That it's going to merge those universes, and that's when the next set of movies are going to come out after after the next Avengers. We got Homecoming and Guardians 3 that's been announced official, right? But
Right.
after that, we don't know.
Yeah, that's why Comic Con is something to look out for. Like, they're not going to have a Hall H panel, but I do think there's going to be some revelations from there that they'll put out some stuff or some things will get leaked. So I'm really interested to hear, man, like what their next phase is. But I think it's all indicative of whatever Avengers 4 title is going to be.
Yeah.
Then it gives you hints of who and what, where, and when.
It's probably gonna be Avengers 4 Universes Collide, or
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it
it's
could be.
probably gonna be like that. Like something's gonna happen that it's gonna merge universes, and then we're gonna get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and
Exactly.
and Silver Surfer and all these guys that are missing. Yeah, I think it was a fantastic movie. I can't wait to see it again. My wife asked me about it. She didn't go with me. I went by myself. But she was like, man, I was like, oh, a lot of people asking about people to explain them the ending to the movie. I was like, oh, I'll probably have to explain it to you too, but it's gonna be for a later time. Um, but yeah, I really really enjoyed it, man. I was able to go on opening day, and man, it was early in the afternoon, so there was like not a lot of people in the theater. It was great. I had a great experience watching it. But I can definitely, I can't wait to watch it again. It was fantastic. Not my favorite Marvel movie. Still, Winter Soldier is still up there, but this one is very very close. Like this is this is definitely my top three. Because it was solid. It was just so remember when we talked about Last Jedi, and one of the gripes that I had was that the movie felt really long, and it did feel really long. This was totally opposite. This movie was the same length as The Last Jedi, and it felt like an hour and a half because it was so good, and there was always something really good happening. And when there were some things blowing up, it was Rocket and Thor making jokes, and Drax. Oh, he was so good too.
I know.
It's like Drax needs to be in all Marvel movies. But
Thor, that's not a dude, that's a man.
yeah, that's not a dude. It's a man. It's like a godly man. Yeah, it's like it was just really good. It was really really good. Joel, do you wanna talk about a little bit about Salt?
Oh,
So uh, uh have you heard about DC fans saying it's like, well, the CG is not great in the movie? I was like, dude, did you watch Justice League?
When you hear people say like crazy stuff like this, you are reaching so hard. Like this is like the conversation I told you about where like The Last Jedi versus Justice League, and the guy starts comparing the movies and saying Justice League is better than Last Jedi. And it's like, what Looney Tune world? I'm not trying to crack on the DC universe, but you're the one who's bringing these comparisons in. I wasn't gonna, like I recognize these are two separate worlds and two separate things, but man, I mean, you got to be really crazy to think that this movie is at the same level as Justice League, because it ain't.
No, it's ridiculous.
And not only is that, but box office wise, in a matter of 3 days, they made more than the entire Justice League box office run for like 4 months or whatever. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous, man.
They almost made it like last thing I saw was that they missed the mark by like 6 million. Like, and that was the total domestic box office run for Justice League on day one. So it's probably, they're saying that it's probably going to reach $1 billion by tomorrow, because it was sitting at 800 and some million today. But over this coming weekend, it's definitely going to be the $1 billion. And it wouldn't surprise me that this movie just overtakes Avatar, because it's doing so well. The movie is really, really good, and the reaction from fans has been so great. Have you seen any other like reaction videos like what you did? Right, you did one before, one after the movie. And I saw a video on YouTube. It was really cute. It was this family, his mom, dad, and I think it was like 2 daughters went to see the movie. And then movie ended, and then dad moves the phone, and daughter's like in tears. She's like, I can't believe this. And mom starts crying, and it was so good.
I love it. People taking the whole family see. I've taken my family, dude. So, and I'm probably gonna go see it again with some family members again too. So, I mean, but yeah, I know I saw some guys like tweet stuff. They were like, forget the kids crying. I was crying more than my daughter was, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. But yeah, it hits you in some deep emotions. But I think that's what's so awesome about it.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about us having all this build up for 10 years and all these movies.
You care about these characters.
Exactly. We connect.
So when Black Panther shows up, it's gonna have more of an impact than when Superman returned from his death.
Exactly.
That's what's gonna happen, because we care.
We care. DC, what are you gonna do?
I don't know, man.
They need to. I think they should just scrap everything. They should release Sam, and after that they should go back to the drawing board, and whatever actors they want to keep, they can keep. Release Wonder Woman 2, but they should
Aquaman comes out this year.
Who's gonna go watch that, Joe?
I know they moved the date, and I think it was because they were afraid of an animated Spider-Man movie beating them.
The movie looks good though, so
it looks amazing.
Yeah, we'll see where that ends up, but yeah, fantastic movie, guys. Highly recommend it. I think we're good. We can keep talking about Infinity War. Definitely, we'll definitely touch on it a few times over the next couple of episodes. But that's what I got, man. I don't know if you have anything else, any other thoughts that you have.
No, man, I'm good. I mean, like you said, we'll talk about more, and as the movie digests more, some more things, will simmer and set in. I know there's plenty of stuff on my mind, but like I said, we could be here forever, dude. Yeah. But one thing I do want to say is, like, depending on when the time of you guys listening to this episode, tomorrow, or you may listen the day of, or a few days later. But for us, we're recording this on a Thursday, so tomorrow is May the 4th. So we want to say, guys, May the 4th be with you. May the Force be with you. Hey, you got my pin I gave you, dude.
Yeah, you gave me this pin from the premiere, so I still have it.
Right after meeting George Lucas. Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
No joke there. But yeah, I mean, may the fourth be with you guys. You know, I have so many great memories watching the Star Wars movies, and they continue to have now even more stories and more memories as these movies come out now with new generations. And I look forward to the day when I potentially have children and pass it on to them. It's a really amazing thing how 40 years later, now we're 41 years, and it's still such a strong, thriving, and maybe stronger than ever fandom. And even with the people having different opinions, and people have always had different opinions about these movies, I think that there's just so much hope and future for Star Wars to go even bigger than it's ever been before. Maybe people felt very similarly with Infinity War than they did with Empire Strikes Back. The difference is right now you can pop the next disc in, right?
Yeah, you remember when we talked real quick, because we haven't talked about this movie like at all. We kept it all until today. But one thing that I mentioned is that it reminded me a lot of the second Pirates movie of Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, which basically ends with the movie ends with Jack Sparrow being eaten by the Kraken.
Yes,
and that's very, very similar to this. So I'm not gonna compare it to The Matrix because that was a disappointment. also Pirates was too, but yeah. But you know. Or you can compare it to one of the Lord of the Rings movies. How's that?
that's true.
You know
That's
that.
true.
You know,
Shoot, even the Hobbit, the second Hobbit, the way it ends, like, what have we done? I mean,
yeah,
it's almost feels like that. You know?
exactly. So like this, yeah, like Desolation of Smaug. It ends with like Smaug just ramping, going
Flying out to
crazy.
destroy. Yep.
Destroy the village. So yeah, kind of like that. But yeah, man, that's what I got. Go ahead and plug us in and take us home.
That's right, guys. So thank you so much for listening to this special episode of No Load Time, and we had a lot of great stuff to talk about here. So we want to make sure you have the opportunity to drop feedback to us. So feel free to shoot an email over to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. And love any questions, comments, feedback, anything you might have felt about this movie or things that we said, or maybe some questions you have. Also, we want to make sure you stay connected to our social media. Just Obed was talking about, we're going to have those special E3 episodes and a lot of awesome, really cool stuff to come up that we've been planning. So make sure to stay connected with us to @NoLoadTime. That's @NoLoadTime on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. And if you also are following us through our podcast that we're listening to us right now, or if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. We're on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, obviously YouTube, like I've said. So please subscribe to us. That'd be really awesome. If you're a subscriber on iTunes, we're going to ask if you could drop us a review. That helps us out as we share No Load Time with everyone out there. And last but not least, Obed, may the force be with you.
All right. May the force be with you too. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Have a good one.
See ya.